Eyes that look are common, but eyes that see are rare. Surely the Lord does nothing unless he reveals his secrets to his servants, the prophets. At night, the future comes to my door and knocks. And I refuse to let it walk away sighing. I carry the future. I breathe the air of inspiration. I'm nourished by the spirit of the future. I am forthright, outright, but I claim no birthright. The villain of today, the hero of tomorrow. Violated as a prophet, but vindicated by history. I am a unique copy of an ancient gift. A unique reverberation of a manuscript. I am a prophet.
On this week's Prophetic Rewind.
In other words, pray, prophesy, proclaim, provide, preserve.
I bow my knee to the only God. I bow my knee to the Lord. I bow my knee to eternity. fail. Take a step in anticipation. I bow my knee to you, Lord. I bow my knee to you, Lord. My heart is open to your voice. Let's sing it together. Sing. My heart is open to you. I bow my knee to you, Lord. I bow my knee. You are worthy of me. I raise my hands. I raise my hands to you, Lord. My heart is open.
My heart is open to your voice.
Everybody, Lord is worthy, worthy of our praise. I raise my hands to you and raise my voice to the one and only God I serve today. He has done great things. He has done great things. He has done great things. So I bless His holy name. We're going to stand in honor of our Lord. He has done great things.
Sing with me. He has done great things. Say, you have done. You have done great things. So I bless your holy name. Lord, I approach you today, not by my own righteousness or my own good works, but Lord, I approach you because of the sacrifice, not of bulls or the sprinkling of blood of lamb, but Lord, because of the eternal sacrifice of the only begotten Son, Yeshua. And Lord, as we stand before you, we are reminded of the words that David wrote and scribed. Bless the Lord, O my soul, and all that is within me. Bless his holy name. Bless the Lord, and forget not his benefits, who forgives all of your iniquities and heals all of your diseases, redeems your life from destruction, and crowns you with loving kindness and tender mercies. That's what I pray for you today. But so beautifully he said, who fills my mouth with good things, so that my youth is renewed like the eagles. Today I pray, Lord, if our joy has aged, would you fill our mouths with good things, so that our joy be renewed. And Lord, if our faith has grown old, fill our mouths with good things, so that our faith is renewed. I pray, fill our mouths with good things, so that our expectation be renewed, that the youth of our expectation be renewed, that the youth of our faith be renewed, that the youth of our joy and the youth of our desire for you be renewed. I thank you for your presence today and honor you as you come and teach us. Great Paraclete, Borestia umbre le tu vicaristova, Beregach nodovesia, Berelonosekeba. And that prayer is interpreted, translated, that tongue of an angel, Berelo ikaruizu vos bordete, dilensom borveli kaisovo prastisa, is my heart is fixed and my soul is restored. Therefore, I pray, Lord, for your people to be restored and for their souls to be fixed, so that you, Lord, may awaken the dawn in them. And I give you thanks from my spirit to yours. In the name of Yeshua. Amen. It is a joy for me to be with you at my workshop, which I'll be teaching in a few minutes. But for the many that have joined me from all over the world, let me just say to you, it is without a doubt that this is probably one of the most significant decisions that I made in regard to teaching you, the warriors of God, on the things of the Spirit, and especially pertaining to prophecy. I have a fantastic, exciting message for you today. A message that will bring what is dead in you alive. Now you may be saying, well, there's nothing dead in me, Kim. You'll be surprised. If David could say, Lord, fill my mouth with good things so that my youth is renewed. What has grown old in your life? Has your faith aged? Is it walking around with a stick? Then I believe that today God can fill your mouth with good things so that the youth of your faith is renewed like the eagles. I believe that today, when we draw near to God, something supernatural is going to happen, because a revelation is coming to us regarding that which He has planned for the future. And so I'm praying for you that you would receive a renewal today of whatever has aged, whatever has grown old, and we come expecting by faith. So I'm ready to teach you. Let's deal with a few things before I start teaching you today, because we've been doing this workshop, and the reason that we're doing it is so that you can be equipped, so that you can hear from God clearly, and everything that's trying to cloud your mind must be destroyed. This is possible. But before I do, let's talk about my fast. What the Lord led me to do was to fast and pray. See, you can fast, but if you don't pray, and nothing's going to happen. This is important. My fast is a little bit of fruit in the morning, water throughout the day, nothing else. Just water throughout the day, and then either a salad at night without dressing, or a fish without any sauce, and some vegetable. Now, that's impossible to expect you to go on. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to make a special broadcast next week or the week after sometime, where I'm going to film and tell you about the fast and what we're going to do December the 31st, 2013. And I want you to join me in the month of January on this fast. And you watch what will happen to you in the year 2014. But let's first speak about fasting, prayer, and visions. Fasting, prayer, and dreams. Fasting, prayer, and dreams. And hearing from God, because this is what this is all about. So the marriage union is fasting and prayer. There's no such thing as marriage without a partner. So to fast by yourself without praying really does no good. It'll help you physically maybe. It'll make you healthier possibly. But the marriage is fasting and pray, and this union produces three things. 3 children if you want. Revelation, transformation, and inspiration. Now you need to hear about this, because revelation is vital for your progress. What does Proverbs tell us? It says, without prophetic revelation, the people, that's us, dwell carelessly, live without restraint, go backwards. Now that's the one thing you don't want to do, because we know that motion, spiritual motion, is a very important thing in the kingdom of God. So I'm going to teach a little bit today about that and what we're going to do on Saturday, because Saturday God has shown me something very specific that we have to do, and that is break a generational curse or generational curses. Now we've done this once in a while, but I'm going to show you how fasting, and especially if you read the words of Jesus, has something to do with breaking curses, especially generational curses. So we're speaking about revelation, transformation, and inspiration. Those 3 things are what is birthed or what is born when there is a union of fasting and praying. So remember something, your praying can be 5 minutes or 10 minutes. Your fast can be just stopping 1 meal in the day and drinking 4 glasses of water, which is very important as well. But when you do that, coupled together, you're going to find that you're going to produce revelation, transformation, which is transfiguration, which I've taught you about, and then inspiration. One of the things we lack so in the kingdom is inspiration. I mean, you get people that are totally uninspired, completely uninspired, and it's so sad to see somebody sharing a testimony, sharing a word, sharing their life without inspiration. So remember, truth consists of 3 things. It consists of revelation, illumination, and inspiration. Those 3 things you have to have a true prophetic understanding of truth, because that's what we want. We want truth. What is it that God has called us to do? So, prophetic revelation, truth from God. Your word is truth. Revelation is the discovery of something. You discover something. Maybe somebody's walking on the road and they see a diamond and they discovered it. It's of no use to them if they have no understanding of what they've discovered. So illumination is the understanding of the discovered truth. You can discover something. If you don't know the value of it, it might be a false, it may not be a true diamond. What do they call those diamonds that are not real diamonds? Zirconian? There we go. So it may be that. You may not know until you take it to a jeweler. I've been very disappointed before when I was handed a watch which I thought was a Breitling. And when we took it to the jeweler, he said, this is not a real Breitling. So I was jumping up and down and inspired because I had this $3,500 Breitling watch. And when I was given the truth, when understanding came to me, it was not of much value. And vice versa, other things that have happened that I thought had no value and found that they did have value. So that's important for you to understand. So revelation is the discovery of truth. Illumination is the understanding of the discovered truth. You now understand. You know the value of it. That's what illumination is. Inspiration is the communication, the ability to communicate with passion what you've just understood and what you have just discovered. That's very important. These workshops are about getting understanding of what your inheritance is. Getting understanding of what this richness that God has given you, what it is and what you can do with it. If you don't understand it, how are you ever going to use it? It's like when I first got a prophecy about the fact that I was a prophet. I went jumping up and down, so happy about it, but I had no idea, no understanding of what a true prophet was and what he'd have to go through. And so once I gained the understanding of years of experience, now I know. I can smell it when persecution's coming. And I remind myself of the beatitude that Jesus gave us. Blessed are those who are persecuted for righteousness' sake. For theirs is what? The kingdom of heaven. In other words, when something comes against you, there is a dynamic. And you may see it as a demonic, and I'm going to share on that because in prophetic you have to be able to discern the spirit. You must know whether this resistance is actually causing a dynamic in your life, a shift, which is about to come. This Saturday at the Den, we are going to speak about generational curses, and you watch how things are going to be broken over your family this Saturday. You cannot miss it because I have a clear word from the Lord about it. So let's get back to this. So revelation, illumination, inspiration, and once that happens, you're able to communicate not just, listen to me, not just with passion, but with experience. Now, let's talk about overcoming generational curses. Demonic resistance leads to our persistence, and our persistence leads to God's assistance. That's what you'd like that little saying, a KC one, okay? So in other words, when we feel demonic resistance, what must it lead to? Are you going to withdraw or are you going to persist? And then God will assist those who persist. That's what the Bible tells us. Pressing in. And when you do this, you'll find out you're going to discover something in the midst of that. So you're going to be resisted when you move forward and when you take occupation. And the prophetic is always moving forward. Now, what you've got to ask yourself today is what you are facing. Is what you are facing dynamic or is it demonic? That's where the discerning of spirits comes in. It's not only the ability to be able to discern this is a demonic power or this is an angelic power, this is evil or it's good. It's also to know whether this perhaps could work out for our good. But Kim, are you telling me that something that is demonic, that a resistance could actually work out for our good? Absolutely. Do you think the powers of hell are there just to destroy you? Let's not forget the words of Jesus. The Bible says, for this purpose, this is not the words of Jesus, this is the words of the Bible. For this purpose was the Son of God manifest. Whenever God manifests, what happens? He destroys the devil's ability to work. That is the actual translation of this. In other words, when Christ manifests, whether it's through you, whether it's through a song of praise, whether it's through a prayer, when there is a manifestation of God, the devil's ability to work is destroyed. So when you're being attacked, when you're being resisted, there are certain key things that you have to cause a manifestation of God, to cause that thing to have absolutely no ability to go any further. Now, what is demonic? Let me give you sort of what I believe it is, a definition if you wish. It is an unforeseen circumstance that emerges, an unforeseen. Now here's the issue. Demonic, unforeseen will bring destruction, but demonic that is foreseen, which is one of the highest gifts of the Spirit in you, the prophetic. Because if you know about Elisha could see where the enemy was going to come against them, so that they could avoid unnecessary warfare. You know what the prophetic does for you? It gives you the power to avoid unnecessary spiritual warfare. Because if you know in advance what he's going to do, which you can, You can resist it, you can avoid it, and not spend hours, weeks, and years of trying to resist something because you never foresaw it. Now, Kim, that's really putting another level altogether. Another level of understanding of prophetic prayer. That's right. How will I ever know when it's cast upon you? Because remember what I said to you, that God told me that every time we teach at the workshop, there will be a release of what is in me, the spirit that is in me, upon you. That prophetic spirit. So that you will, as I'm speaking to you right now, as I'm speaking to you this very moment, something is happening to some of you to where you are gaining understanding. A mantle is being cast upon you. That's what we wanted these sessions to be all about. So, let's look at demonic, what it means. An unforeseen circumstance that emerges, causing frenzy, causing distress, causing rage, causing confusion, fear, and in many cases, passivity. Fear of taking action. I want to say that again to you because many of you that are listening to me this very minute as I'm teaching you have found that this is what is controlling you. Frenzy, distress. How many of you are suffering from distress? Rage. There are some of you watching me now. You are guilty because of the rage that's come, and you say, it's been unusual. I've never had a rage like this. And yes, it could be demonic. Taking what is weak in you and causing a flame. It is an unforeseen circumstance bringing confusion. Maybe some of you are confused now, or fear. And the one case that I want to deal about today is passivity. What is passivity? The fear of taking action. There are many people that are afraid to do anything. And passivity will cause demonic powers to rule your house. Passivity will cause you to go into poverty. Because you see, passivity is saying, I'm afraid to ask. I'm afraid to give. I'm afraid to action. And today, I'm going to break the power of passivity over you. And I'm going to release you into something absolutely spectacular. And that is the ability to take action very easily. That's the key of the prophetic too. So that's what demonic is. Today, keep in mind, passivity is the fear of taking action. Imagine if America never took action. When enemies came against them. So, we don't want to take action. We sing a little bit of that now. But if we're afraid to take action, an enemy can get closer and closer and closer. That's not what the army is all about. That's what the Navy is not about. It's not what the Air Force is about. It's about you come any closer and we're going to take action. If we even smell a resistance or a plan of attack against us, we're going to take action. In our case, the action is action. In other words, pray, prophesy, proclaim, provide, preserve. There's the PRs. Right there. Kim, I don't think I'll ever be there. Do you know that many years ago I never thought I'd be able to give the way we're giving today to Israel, to America, to the Red Cross, to St. Jude, to some of the places we're giving. I never dreamed it, but I knew that my action would get me there. So what is dynamic then? You say, well, Kim, if you can find the dynamic within this resistance. Dynamic is a basic force that motivates and affects development and stability. Now you can write that down if you want, but when we get things going in our studio, especially with a new building, we're going to be able to have these things scroll across the screen for you. So what is dynamic? It's a basic force that motivates. It doesn't say whether it's a negative or a positive force. It's a basic force that motivates and affects development and stability, because stability is vital. If you want to be, if the Bible speaks about a double-minded man is unstable in all of his ways. And one of the things that the enemy does is cause you to be unstable, be double-minded. And well, I don't know, I'm not sure. One thing I know for sure, that I'm called to do this. Oh yes, I've had double-minded moments. But I've seen every time I've been double-minded about something, there's an instability that sets in, and that's exactly what Diablo wants. Because the enemy's name, Diablo, means to speak, to divide, to speak to your mind, to divide. That's when Elijah stood before the Israelites. He said, there's a problem. You're of two opinions. And as a result of it, the heavens have shut. There's no rain. Who is your God? And the crowd out there is cheering. I can hear you. But it's fine. I know that you're hearing me, and you can write in. You can write in right now to Facebook. Follow me. We're getting there. Listen, people, right now, like me, write me. And tell me what you're feeling. If you're being moved, if you're being touched, what you think. It's very important because instability. There's a lot of people that are unstable. And that are just, I'm not sure, I really don't know. So I'm not going to act because I'm unstable or I have double mind. And that is what the prophetic hates. A prophetic knows that he knows that he knows. I'm at the right place at the right time for the right reason, the right season. And I know it. And so this is vital for your progress, for your motion. Because if you are motionless, you die. Jesus spoke about the kingdom coming. He gave us a prayer to pray. He said, when you pray, pray like this. Your will be done, your kingdom come on earth. Come and done. These are motions. These are actions. He didn't ask you to pray every day of your life, your kingdom come, and it'd be a repetitious prayer. He meant when you pray it, something will happen. There will be motion. Let me share something about a computer that I learned. Dynamic memory. And this is how it was first worked out. Must be constantly refreshed to avoid losing data. And a computer's data storage is affected by what they call a passage of time. Or if you wish, the presence or absence of power. In other words, the one thing that refreshes and the thing that will cause you not to lose anything is the presence of power. If there is an absence of God's power in your life, you will lose data. Your data storage will be affected. I would suggest to you today that as I'm speaking, the Holy Spirit of God is in your house. He is ministering to you on a very personal level so that there will be a surge of power. Thank you. What do you have laid up in your data, memory data? God's promises, God's words are stored up, and if they lay dormant, you could lose the data. So what happens is that God uses various circumstances to refresh it. So dynamically allocated memory exists until it is released either by the programmer or by the garbage collector. So what's the bottom line? Is resistance a negative or a positive? If we remain passive, it's a negative. Did you hear what I said? Oh Lord, won't you just take it away? No, he says resist the enemy and he will flee from you. Resistance is not a passive thing. Persist, resist, resist. These are not passive. These are actions. Give is an action. Pray is an action. Fast is an action. And what's happening is it's causing it to move. There's motion. It's not lying dormant. When I had my arms broken and I was lying and I had the spirit of death face me, I knew I was dying the minute that thing put its head on my head. The prince of darkness. I saw it. And inside of me there was a whole storage of stuff that I didn't even know existed. Prophecies from the 70s, words that had been placed in me, scriptures that were there that I hadn't quoted for years, suddenly came forth because a dynamic took place. It forced me to search deep within my database and find something that I could use to resist this enemy. The result was that I came out seeing visions beyond the year 2000, visions of what is going to be happening today. Why do you think I'm not double-minded? Because I know this is not the end time. It is the end times, but not the end of time. So, that's how I know. Your vision will take you 10 years, 20 years into the future. If we allow the shift to take place and we act, when resistance comes, it's a positive. If you remain passive, it's a negative. If you have an action to resist, it is a positive, or to act. Today we are going to act. And do what? Bring a blessing onto our house. And remove the power of passivity. These teachings are no good if they were just good old teachings. Look, I'm inspired. I'm moving around. I'm getting revelations. I'm teaching. I'm hearing your voices. I'm hearing your spirit saying, I want a dynamic. I want God to push me to the next level. And we're about to enter 2014, and we are definitely going to experience something called motion. And that thing is going to release something I'm not going to tell you now. Because you see, if I told you now, then you'd know what God is planning for next year. But you're going to come here December 31st in this den, and we are going to watch together from all over the world, and we're going to enter the new year with a word from God. Come on. Hallelujah. Okay, so where are we now? So we've got the positive. So resistance creates a dynamic, a shift, which means a shift from one level to the next. Why do you think the past 7 years have been resistance? I'm not just talking about you personally. I'm talking in churches in the nation. Because you are about to shift from one level to another, because it created a dynamic in so many of you that you're sick of religion. You're sick of lying prophets that are telling you it's the end. It's time for us to go home and walk golden streets. No, my friend, it's not. Now, I better watch out. So what is revelation? Well, Kim, you just told me it's the discovery of truth. No, let me, that is, yes, of course. But let me give you some more. Because when I taught my classes in the school of the prophet, I defined revelation because there's so few people that have revelation. Revelation is a sudden. You may say, why would God do suddenly? Because if you don't do suddenly, we won't do it. We'll work it out. We'll calculate it. We'll try and mathematically do the whole thing and see, how is this going to work? Get the how out of here. Get it out of your head. Stop howling. Don't howl anymore. That's a good one. Don't howl. Instead of howl, don't howl. Howl, Lord, howl, Lord, howl. Stop howling. Say yes. Even if you don't fully understand, say yes. You can see I'm inspired. It's in my garden long time this morning. Good stuff coming. Yummy, as Matt Young says. Everything is yummy. Yummy. You can offer him any food you want. It can be the grossest of foods. Yummy. And I said, are you sure? Yeah, I love that, he says. So I said, well, try it, my boy. You can imagine what happened to them in the early years. And so I love it. Always, no matter what it is. It can be a nice, sweet thing. It can be a bitter thing. Yummy. I love it. The attitude. At least I've got something. So revelation is a sudden. It comes suddenly. And I don't have to go through all the suddenlies in the Bible. But on the day of Pentecost, suddenly it happened. They were waiting. They were maybe even bored. Then there was a sound and suddenly it was upon them. Watch out for the suddenly moment that could be upon you today. It could be just around the corner. You may be waiting and you said, enough, I don't think this is going to work out. And a suddenly moment comes. You must wait like they waited in the upper room. Wait for it. Pray, pray, pray. And then suddenly it comes. Revelation is a sudden impelling force or an action. It is a sudden impelling force or action that drives you forward. Revelation will never drive you back. It drives you forward and induces motion, which increases expression. Can I say that again? Motion increases expression. Go to a religious church where they do the same thing every time. Do you know what you lack? Is true breath, true breathing, true oxygen, true motion. There's no expression of the Godhead, because God loves it when you step out and do something that you've not done before, and that is what faith is. Faith is the evidence of things not seen, but there's evidence, but it's unseen, but there's evidence. How can we have evidence of something we haven't seen? I have evidence that Amanda is pregnant, but we don't see the baby. We haven't heard the cry. There is evidence in quickening. There is evidence in movement, in size. There's motion, but we cannot see it, says the religious. Listen to me. It's not all about seeing it in the natural. Faith is the evidence of things not seen. That's what it is. The substance of things hoped for. Never remove hope from anybody because hope is substance. It's substantial. That's what faith is. That's why God loves faith. Because when you do something that you've not done before, it demands a higher level of faith. Has your faith grown old? Then it's time for you to have your mouth filled with good things, new things that I'm giving you now, so that the youth of your faith is renewed like the eagles. Is this going okay? I don't have a crowd, so I don't know if it's okay. Thanks for the woo. Okay, let's move back to Revelation. So Revelation drives you forward. It's a force that drives you. That force is a dynamic. Whether it's negative or positive, it's going to cause revelation to come to you because you have no choice but to resist. It induces motion, which increases what? Expression. And then it inactivates the negative control system that you have inside. We have two systems inside of us. We have a negative and a positive control system. Both of them have the power to control you. The negative has the power to control you, and the positive has the power to control you. And it's important that you understand that, because let me explain why. Because they are both powerful forces. The negative force that I'm speaking about is a force that must be inactivated. And once the negative force is inactivated, what happens to the positive control system? It is activated. So they're both sitting there, and whatever you are being fed will activate one or the other. Do you understand that? Whatever you are fed will activate one or the other. You may be saying, well, this is really not what prophecy is all about. This is everything about it. It's all the easiest thing in the world is say, thus says the Lord. Go and have your nails done because they're dirty. Or something like that. I'm talking about a true prophetic person that says, this that is facing me has to turn around and I'm going to take the spoil from it. That type of attitude is yummy. Got it? What are you listening to? What is feeding you? Who is feeding you? If your negative control system is being fed, then it is activated and will control everything you do. If your positive control system is being fed, then it will be activated and your negative will be inactivated. Hello? You got it. You got it, because today your positive control system is being activated, because we know that there is truth in the fact that God has something globally planned for the world and for us. And I will not stand down on that. Transformation is one of the other things that happens in the prophetic. Now, you understand what revelation is. You understand it. The sudden impelling force that causes action, that causes expression, that deactivates or inactivates the negative control system and activates the positive control system, so that what comes out of your mouth will be, it can be done. Transformation comes as a result of transcendence. Transcend. Everybody say transcend. Transcendence means surpassing the ordinary, exceptional, beyond the range of normal physical human experience. Thank God Charlie's not here, because we would be jamming like crazy. Surpassing the ordinary, exceptional, beyond the range of normal physical human experience. Not subject, I said this last week, not subject to the limitations of the material universe. That's what transformation does. Well, Kim, what is transfiguration? It's getting a glimpse of the future and changing into it now. Being changed. Transfigure. Romans 12 tells us that you must be, he doesn't ask, he says you must be transformed by what? The renewing of the mind. So renewal is important, restoration is important. Now, so he says we must be transformed by the renewal of the mind. Transformation comes out of transcendence. What is transcend? I've just told you what is beyond the limitations of the material universe. For that one moment, you actually see it. When I get in my garden, it's the most fantastic thing to be praying and jumping up and down. I'm hearing from God and I'm doing all this, and I'm saying, I walk out there feeling like a giant. Then I hear baby screaming. Change that diaper. You know, the smell of you know what. So here we are back in the real world. But for that one moment, I captured that moment of transcendence. And I was transformed while I was praying. And I was saying, yes, I can do it. I'm going to be a billionaire philanthropist for the kingdom of God. I'm going to build hospitals. And I go through all this stuff, and then you get back to the real world. But was that moment unreal? No. You will go into your real world. You'll go into your world, and still be upset, still get tired on the freeway, whatever. But that moment did something to you. It made you see things from a different perspective. Now, what is transcendence? Well, let's speak about ecstasy. Not the drug, by the way. This was brought about way before the drug. Ecstasy is the perception of a presence. Now, I must teach you this because we need to understand that ecstasy is the perception of a presence. Prophecy is the encounter of that presence. So the difference between perception and encounter is the one gains knowledge, but the other encounters that knowledge. This is important because if he showed me that in the garden, then surely I'm going to encounter it sometime. And it is encountered by prophecy or by the prophetic mantle or by the prophetic prayer or by the prophetic proclamation. I hope I'm making sense. Right in now. You are about to encounter the presence that came to you, sharing your future, your breakthrough. During a prophetic moment, you are possibly going to experience both of these. The ecstatic moment, which is the perception of a presence, and the prophetic moment where it is actual reality coming to pass. I can see it. My mind's been renewed. And now I'm encountering it. You know, when I walked out of that garden, I actually thought I was a billionaire. I thought I was a philanthropist. When I walked out there, I encountered it to the point, and there's more than that. I'm just saying that because many of you want to do good works. But I want this to be the first prophetic ministry in the world that gives millions of dollars away each year. What's wrong with that? I said to you, what's wrong with that? Come on. Well, Kim, you're not supposed to provide. You're supposed to give them words. No. Elijah came and he provided for the woman that had no money, was about to die. Elijah came and snapped his finger after a sacrifice, and it began to rain after 3.5 years. I'll tell you what prophets are supposed to do. They're supposed to provide solutions, answers, and finances. So what happened in the garden was I had an encounter with a presence. I didn't just perceive it. I felt I was there. It's like a dream. You never had a dream where you got $1 million. You get $50 million in a stake, whatever. You know what do you call it? A lottery. What do you do when you get the revelation that you were a billionaire or millionaire? I'm using money today because that's how most people relate to it. There's a knock at your door. Sir, you have won the lottery. How much? $90 million. What do? Thank you, bye. No. You go, ah! You behave in a way that you've never behaved, or perhaps only at a football match. You begin to act because you've encountered. May I ask you the question? Where's the money? Oh, sir, it will be given to you. Oh, it's not in your hands? You don't have the check with you? No. We've come to bear the good news. We've come to bear the revelation. And even though they don't have the check and they don't have the money, the receiver is jumping, screaming, grabbing his wife, running all over the house. This is a response of faith. A response of faith doesn't wait till it gets in their hand. The response of faith says, I got it. I encountered it. Now it's mine. There's a moment coming. Watch. God's about to do it. Just raise your hands. Everybody, it's the moment. It's the moment. There is a high magnitude of faith right now. I want everybody stopping, please. God's going to do something really powerful. I want you to stop. We're going to give at this altar. No, you're not going to perceive the presence. What you're doing right now is you're perceiving the presence of God's promise. No, you are encountering it. You are feeling it like it's real. Whatever you've dreamed about, whatever's come to you, I want you to know it's suddenly being released inside of you. The positive operation system inside of you has been activated. Suddenly you're not experiencing, you're not just sensing it or perceiving it. You are encountering the presence of prosperity. You are encountering the presence of victory. You are encountering the presence of healing. And whatever it is that you need today, you are having an encounter this very minute, and this is when you actually give. This is when you stop and say, I believe that if I move beyond the limitations of this material universe and I do something I've never done before, that faith will come before God and please Him, and there'll be a divine reciprocation. It's happening this very minute. Isn't that beautiful? It's happening now. Stop, everyone. I want to break the power of passivity now. The power of passivity, which means I'm afraid to act. You are never afraid to act again. You're going to act in this offering. And even if it's $3, $5, $10, whatever it is, but some of you want to go beyond that. Some of you are saying, Kim, but you suggested that when we do something that we've never done before, we're not used to doing, and it breaks the mold of comfort, that it is faith of the highest degree. It absolutely is. Maybe in your heart you want to give 8, but you can say, okay, I'm going to give 16. I want you to double it. Listen, it's going to be used for the kingdom, but at this moment, it's for your benefit. Stop. Raise your hands. It's happening this very second. Lord, I pray, come upon each one of your warriors, your people that are watching. Some of them are saying, I don't have it. But you got to take a chance sometimes. Sometimes you just got to step out and say, I'm not going to ask how, I'm just going to do it. Look at some of the people that wrote to us. This is one of the highest forms of worship, of sacrifice, is to take that which you have earned and you give a portion of it to God, so that the prophet can say, now, because you've done this, the oil shall not dry up, the flour shall never dry up until the day the Lord sends prosperity to the earth. I've taught you more than giving. I've taught you more than prosperity. But we've come to a point today where we can say, God, I want what has been taught to me by this prophet, because I know he's speaking the truth. Pray with me, everybody, and the revelation is going to come to you, and it's going to be a sudden push to a level you've never been before. Just watch what happens as a result of it. Lord, now as your people are ready to give and to take a step, it's more than giving, but to offer the sacrifice, Lord, and do something they've never done before, so that you can reciprocate by doing something that they've never experienced before. I pray, speak to each person now and show them what to do. And as they obey your voice, I pray, bless, 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 and remove the power of passivity. And this Saturday, Lord, I pray that when we speak about generational curses, they would be completely free. In the name of Christ, I pray. Now everybody say this: I'm going to take a step. I'm going to break passivity. I'm not afraid. I'm not going to give out of fear or control, but I'm going to give outside the box. It may be $1 extra for some of you. For some of you, it may be 10,000. I don't care what it is. Whatever you feel now, go ahead and do it. God is watching your faith. There's a red link below your screen. I want you to go into it now. If you've never done before, it takes very quick. And you've done it with iTunes. You've done it with all these different things, Amazon and stuff. Why not the kingdom of God today? Now, do it.
You know what I love about the prophetic is you get so close to the heart of God. You hear his mind, his thoughts, what he plans to do. You know, you need this on a regular basis. And there are millions of viewers all over the world that experience this twice a week, sometimes even more, at my den. And you can experience it as well. I would love to have you there. All you got to do is go to kim.tv. We have so much. We have worship. We have songs that come from the heart of God, prophetic words about things that have not happened yet. That's what we say to the people, welcome to the future. And I want you to experience that. I look forward to seeing you there.